Some say it grew from our malice and indifference. Some say it was retribution from the heavens. All we know is the pandemic began somewhere. Somewhere cursed, dark, and filled with sorrow. Future generations will wonder how it all started. We will tell them the infection began with Podcast Zero.
Hello, everybody! Welcome to Podcast Zero and H1Z1 discussion. How's everybody doing this evening? Can you guys hear me? Okay, you guys can hear me good.
I can hear you. Yes.
All right, so tonight we have Jimmy Whisenhunt here, and he happens to be undead, so we'll have him back on the show in here a little bit. We're going to start off the show, go around the room, talk about everything with everybody, and we'll get to a point where we are able to bring him in, which will be the Q&A session at the end. Let me just go over a little bit of house cleaning and then housekeeping, and then we'll get to the introductions. Basically, while we're doing this show, the show format is like this. We're going to start off the show with introductions. We'll go into some of the basic topics that we're going to talk about on the show, and then we will start a Q&A session. So we have a couple of moderators in the chat right now that are going to be grabbing your questions and be sticking them in chat. Actually, I think Stockus is probably the only one that can do that right now. All right, Stockus. We'll see if Bod can drag them in there too. If Bod is here, could he drag them into one of the other chats, and then Stockus can drag them into here if that's what's happening. Yeah, we just had 420 viewers. That was awesome. Spark one up, I guess, everybody. So you ask the questions, put them in brackets, please. Just say question and put it in brackets, and we'll grab them up, we'll put them in the chat, and then we'll ask the questions. If it's a question that is best for a developer, Jimmy will be here live on the show with us, and when that part starts, and we can ask him directly, and hopefully we get that question kind of answered. If not, we're just going to go into sort of the general stuff. All right, so let's go around the room and introduce ourselves. Maybe some people know some of the people here, maybe they don't, but that's okay. First off, Mr. Co-Carnage. How you doing tonight, sir?
Hi. Oh, sorry.
So tell us a little bit about what's that?
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's okay. Tell us a little bit about your channel, what you do, how are you related to zombie games, that kind of thing.
Sure. My name is Co-Carnage. I am a full-time Twitch streamer, having a great time streaming mostly new games, new MMOs, which is why I kind of got my sights on H1Z1 right now. More for what kind of has both of those, actually, in some cases. But yeah, really looking forward to seeing what it has to offer. I played DayZ for a long time, which was a lot of fun. Also, we had an extended stay in Rust with the community, at some cases just going absolutely crazy with building projects between 50 to 100 people at times. And yeah, just really looking forward to seeing what Sony has to offer with this.
Absolutely. All right, Mr. Stockus, tell us about yourself, sir.
Me?
Yeah, you.
Well, I'm Sergeant Stackers. I'm basically part-time streamer, full-time moderator at the moment.
Exactly.
I mod about 7 or 8 channels. Not always simultaneously, but sometimes. Basically have been playing zombie games since I got into PC gaming. Started with, I think, the original Left 4 Dead, then of course Left 4 Dead 2, DayZ, and a whole slew of other knockoff wannabes that haven't quite really hit the mark. Rust, played Rust, stuff like that. So I am anticipating this with bated breath. I'm very excited to be sort of seeing this thing from the ground up. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Absolutely. All right, Skyla, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hello, I am Skylatron. I am a streamer and the social media manager for TintonHammer.com. And I am I'm a lover of sandbox games, sandbox MMOs, so that's what makes me really excited to play this. Lots of Star Wars Galaxies, 7 Days to Die and Rust. So I'm really excited to see what this has to offer.
You play a little bit of Rust yourself?
A little bit, yep.
Very good. All right, and CRS Smoke, a.k.a. Ben.
Hello. I am the wiki director at Curse Inc. I got in there because I was the founder of Daisy Wiki. I'm a huge fan of shooters, FPS, everything, and especially hardcore shooters. So death is actually, means something. So that's why I'm real excited about H1Z1 and interested to see what happens with it.
Awesome. All right, and I'm Geekdomo. If you're on my channel right now tonight, and big time zombie game player. I do 30 days of a particular game usually, and we just got through finishing up 30 days of DayZ about a month ago, standalone, and that's where actually I met Mr. Stockus. So a fun story there, but we'll go on that at a different time. And so yeah, it's been really exciting to talk with all of the devs at Sony getting this game off the ground, and I'm really looking forward to it. So obviously, that's why we got this show going, and I think it's going to be great. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started with some of the topics and kind of break the ice here a little bit. Let's see. Topic number 1 or topic number 2. All right, so let's talk about the state of zombie games right now. Currently, the main guy on the pedestal is DayZ, right? It's kind of the main one everyone kind of shoots for as far as like a good zombie survival game. And then maybe Rust is underneath, but then Rust, of course, is more survival now. They got rid of the zombies. And then maybe some of the... I'm thinking probably State of Decay would probably be like number 3 in my breakdown. So what do you guys think of some of the zombie games that are out there right now, and what's some of the good stuff they do?
I'll start it off here.
Jump right in, sorry, yeah.
Well, one of the things that I think really is attracting people to the genre right now is DayZ, and kind of since the standalone came out and is really going through a lot of pretty good updates. I think it's really going to set the bar high for H1Z1 in terms of depth and customization. Particularly the kind of focus on the deep medical system, the focus on the different injuries that you can have in your body, health, and all the new features that they have coming, I think are really going to kind of put it to Sony to kind of have them go, is this going to be a survival game, or is this going to be kind of like an arcade zombie shooter? Very sorry about that.
Oh, it's okay.
Yeah, so it's going to be very interesting because DayZ is an excellent option in that regard. Like you very well mentioned, though, Rust, although it was technically kind of a zombie builder horror game, has kind of moved away from that recently. So, but I think, do we still want to kind of count that in? With the building aspect, I'm guessing we want to keep that in the picture though tonight as we move forward. But that being said, the Rust componentry of the building and adding that into kind of instead of you having to go out, have them come to you, have to have a base kind of where you are and where you're settling, is going to kind of make it interesting for that whole dichotomy. And it's going to be kind of great and fun to see where Sony's going to put H1Z1 between those.
Exactly.
Or if they're going to go for both.
They might be going for all of them, right? Kind of copying some of the other big ones out there too. Stockus, what are your thoughts? Now, we were talking about this today. What are you thinking about H1Z1 as far as the other games go into?
I think H1Z1 has the opportunity to fill a gap that not any one particular game has been able to hit. I think a lot of games have tried. They've seen certain aspects of the zombie genre work, and they work really well. There's definitely a market for it, but none of them have actually hit a home run, so to speak, as far as their content and what really keeps players engaged. DayZ's probably the not the standalone yet because it's still in development, but the mod, the Epoch DayZ Arma 2 mod is probably the closest thing that I've seen as far as on forums and people general opinion as to what's the closest thing as to almost a perfect zombie survival game. The only problem with that is the zombies just aren't a threat. It's more of a military survival simulator with random zombies that you happen to encounter throughout the world. So no matter where you go in the zombie genre at the moment, no one game has really nailed it. And I think H1Z1 has the opportunity to do that if they can get all the survival aspects right and they can get them detailed. And zombies are an actual threat when you go out to do your scavenging, when you go out to do your collecting of materials for building. So I guess that is where they can really do well for themselves, is if they listen to the community about what the community wants, and take lessons from other games where they went wrong.
Infestation Survivor Stories comes right to the top of my head. War Z. Okay, so many things happen wrong with that game, and I'm hoping that Sony can stay away from that sort of some of those problems, because there was some really bad juju that went down with that game. I kind of got burned really bad, so I go off on a rant about it. I won't go off on a rant right now, but yeah. So I agree. I think there's some things they can do about it. What do you think there, Skylatron? What are you thinking?
I'm hoping that what they're able to bring to the table is something that's more than just running around for 10 minutes and then getting shot in the face. Like, I hope that we're able to...
Well, there's nothing wrong with that.
No, there's nothing wrong with that. That is definitely, my first experience in Rust. Right. I didn't even get shot. I just got attacked with a rock. So, that's just how things go. But building the player community, literally building communities in game, I think that's really important. And then, of course, people working towards the common goal, like Staka said, with the zombies actually being a threat. I think that taking it to that next level that makes it more than a shooter is hopefully where we're going with this.
Absolutely. All right, Ben, what are your thoughts?
I think that right now we have a bunch of different games that are trying to do this. And one that you forgot to mention is 7 Days to Die. I think that they do something really well, which is the crafting and building system. But you've got DayZ that has a great environment, but it doesn't really have the building stuff that Rust does. And then you have 7 Days to Die that does have that building stuff, but it doesn't really have the great environment. I think that right now is a perfect time for a game to come in, and hopefully this is H1Z1, and kind of take all of those great elements and build on them and make something that incorporates them all and is better.
Okay, yeah, no, I agree. There are some... I just haven't played that one myself. I kind of got started with Rust right about the time 7 Days to Die came out, and I didn't get a chance to play that as much. But yeah, there's that element of it too, the crafting system. My personal opinion about DayZ is absolutely an amazing game. The intensity that goes on with DayZ is palpable. There's times where you're running around and... you're running through a forest or something like that, you feel pretty safe, and then all of a sudden you'll hear a shot go off, and you're like, what the hell, where did that come from? Or a zombie will literally jump out from behind a tree. And those kind of moments, that intensity and the threat of just instant death is so heavy all the time that, you really don't feel like you're ever getting a break. And I want that in H1Z1. I want that sort of intense depth and fear. Like a fear of permadeath and everything. You're going to lose your character. You're going to lose all this crap you just got through. I mean, if you just started out and you're running around in your sneakers and your shorts, whatever. It's not so big of a deal if you die. But later on, after you've accumulated all this stuff, you got a sniper rifle, you got enough food to last for days and everything, and then getting murdered, it's such much more of a big deal. And I'm hoping that level of paranoia is going to be good in this game, and that's what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping for a really high level of paranoia. That's what I'm kind of hoping that they can pull off.
I feel like it's kind of trying to be a true MMO and support thousands of players on a server. I feel like it's going to bring that paranoia back, just in the fact that it's going to really be a immersive 24/7 world where you'll have your base and you'll always be worried about when they could attack. And whenever you're going out and foraging for supplies or whatever it may be, just the fact that there's so many other players that want those supplies too, I think that paranoia is always going to be there, just based on server size alone.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. What do you think, Co?
Just to throw in there, did they mention, I remember either I saw it on John Smedley's Twitter or maybe during the podcast, aren't they also going to have private servers for the game?
Yeah.
Eventually,
okay.
yes.
So
it's not going to start with them?
I think there's Sony to start with. That might be a question to Jimmy when he gets back.
Actually, I don't think they're going to be private servers as such where you pay to own a server. I think it's going to be a particular map type with a certain rule set. I think Yeah, I think that's what they said. You wouldn't be able to go out and just pay a particular company like Multiplay or something to own your own server and run it how you want. I think it'll still be run through the SOE servers, but you'll be able to pay for a certain rule set or a certain map type. Much like, when you do mods on any of the other, like DayZ, if you do a certain mod set where you've got particular weapons in the game, you've got particular loot drop percentages and stuff like that. I think that was where they said that they were going to have. I think they wanted everything to be based in Sony servers due to the anti-cheating and stuff that they have implemented. But that's up to Jimmy. That's probably a better question for Jimmy. Just for what I remember them saying in the live stream, that they were all of the games until a later date, they were all going to be based on SOE servers. But we can ask Jimmy when he gets back in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know there was
okay.
definitely something to do with a community voting system and getting tokens and paying real money and some other things like that I'm sure that he can go into depth.
Well, let's talk real quick a little bit before we get off this topic. What are some of the things that games have done wrong recently that Sony should try to avoid?
Pay to win with Infestation.
Okay.
Start things off. Let's set the bar real low and move up from there.
Now, what do you talking about? Let's stick on this Infestation for just a second. What do you think about the locker system? Like, you can run out, grab some stuff, come back, and drop it in. I think people, they like that to an extent, but it kind of took away the fear of death, because if you knew you just ran out with just a pistol and a hat, you'd be okay.
Well, it's kind of like tents in DayZ. Although your tents could actually be rated in DayZ.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, tents did provide that storage system, which I think was pretty fun and pretty unique.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not a problem with. I don't have any issue with that. But maybe it should be on the server and available to other players rather than something that you can kind of hide away in the locker.
Now, this is a sticking point for me, and I'll bring this up, and you guys can talk about it. The zombies in DayZ to this day drive me absolutely crazy. Like the fact they can run through walls, and they've got these like crazy mechanics that you're hitting them in the head, and it's like always they're off. Like you're hitting them in the head and it's not connecting, and you're moving over to like the next guy and you're hitting him in the head, and you're just getting maimed right there because it's not connecting correctly. What are you guys thinking of that?
I think that's just a general gameplay issue.
Yeah.
That DayZ is, it's a really solid product, but it has some foundational issues that really need to be worked out. And I think you just kind of nailed one of the big ones. That when I played the DayZ mod originally, I played it for 10 minutes, encountered 2 zombies, and I laughed and turned it off. I didn't understand that people actually played the game for real.
Okay.
I thought it was a joke. I thought it was a broken piece of software. And then later I learned that no, that's just kind of how they are, and you're supposed to play it as a PvP game, and all this different stuff. And and then I really watched streams, and I realized that I missed this entire side of it because of this really basic stuff just being flagrantly not even finished.
Right.
And I think that in and that's a really good point that you just made about what does Sony need to do. They need to make sure the foundational aspects work before they start going into things that are too complicated. They need to make sure that the foundational pillars of the game are sound, working, bug-free, and congruent, so everything kind of flows together. Now, on that complete opposite spectrum, they really need to give this game depth. Nobody really wants an arcade DayZ. That's why we like DayZ so much. It's so deep and all and very complex. And you get items that you don't even know what they're for. You're saying, what can I do with this thing? It's awesome. But so there's a medium there that they're going to need to, through development and kind of feedback, really kind of make sure they don't sway too far on either end of.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's the interesting part about the fact that they're saying they're doing the early access in 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's coming up really quick.
Is making sure that all of that base is laid really well, that combat actually feels impactful, and I think that that's something that a lot of games have gotten wrong, and you can't really go back from that first impression.
So with actually our next topic, I'm going to go ahead and bring that up on the screen because we're already starting to talk about, but can Sony do it? So we're already talking about that. So you're right, Kobe. They need to lay the foundation down. The zombies have to feel intimidating, real. They have to flow. They have to be able to walk not through walls necessarily, and some of the things that happened wrong in DayZ, because ultimately the zombies just like in Walking Dead. Walking Dead starts out the same way. The zombies start off being the most intense thing about the entire show. Like, oh my god, we're going to get killed by zombies. But as the game progresses, as the show progresses, it becomes less and less of a problem. And pretty soon you're just like, oh yeah, let me just walk around this zombie over here to the right. It's no big deal. I'll just go over there. So that kind of thing is something that they need to get right off the bat. And if they can get that base foundation set up like you were saying, then I believe that from there, all the rest of the game sort of falls into place.
Yeah, if the game is fun to begin with, they can always build up from there, but it has to have a fun base to begin.
Mm-hmm. Stockus is.
And that's exactly right. It's a little bit different than what we're talking about, but to give props where they're due, it's a tangent. But Nether, if you guys have ever played Nether, extremely developed PvE experience.
Right.
Different types of mobs, different speeds. They dodge on the way in. All the hits are solid. And when I first did that, again, this isn't a zombie game. It's kind of close. It's mutants, but it immediately sold me on wanting to see more, wanting to get further into the game, because what I saw right off the bat was so kind of solid and consistent. So, yeah, absolutely right.
One of the things I'd like to see, and then you just brought up another game, so I'll bring up another too, is Nazi Zombie Army. Stockus and I have been playing that recently. And while that, the premise of the game is completely ludicrous, right? But the game flow, like the way you lock on, you're sniping a lot. It's very easy to line up, and Jimmy talked about this in the podcast that they're working on right now, trying to get it to where aiming is nice. But even so, just the way the zombies sort of like meander around, and they do chase you down after a while, but they're just sort of slow and lethargic, and then if they get turned on you, then they start chasing you down. But I kind of like that whole sort of, it's not intense. Like in DayZ, if they see you, they're running at full speed instantly after they start chasing you. But in like the Nazi Zombie Army, it just feels like a very visceral experience when you're fighting them in that game, and I'm hoping they can try to replicate that here.
So you prefer the Romero style zombies rather than 28 Days Later style Rage zombies?
Yeah. Or War Z zombies, or the War Z zombies, which are just like a sea of flying zombies that just go anywhere.
Well, as soon as they kill you, you have to go to the store and buy all your new gear with real world money, so.
Yeah, true. Right. What do you think, Stockus?
I don't know. I'd like to see maybe a mix. I'd like to see a bunch of slow meandering zombies, but en masse, like huge amount of them. Like if you have to go into a city to do some scavenging, like a large town, I want there to be just a metric ton of these things. I want there to be so many that you think twice about just running in there. They may not be so dangerous because they're a bit slow and they're a bit stupid. They're a bit slow to react to noises and stuff. And then maybe out in the wild, there's a couple of just lone or a small bunch of zombies that are actually a lot quicker and a lot more dangerous. And I'm not talking about Left 4 Dead type special infected, but just maybe a variant to sort of just make you second guess every single time you step out of your little safe zone. If you're out in the woods, if you step out, you think, oh, but it's okay, I'm not anywhere near a city. But there's that chance that maybe there's one of those quicker and maybe not so obvious zombies, maybe a couple of them running around.
Screamer, something like that.
Yeah, possibly. So yeah, even something that alerts a bunch of other zombies, or possibly. I really want to see them mix it up. I don't just want to walk into a town and find 3 or 4 stumbling zombies, and you just sort of weave your way around them and grab your stuff and then take off. So I don't know. I'm going to leave all reservation. Like I'm going to wait to see what their actual zombies are like before I make any judgment on that. I think from what I saw in the stream, they looked good, but it's early days yet. So
yeah,
they look good, but it's just one type of zombie. So definitely being able to have that variation would make a difference in difficulty. Yeah. Definitely. Especially as players gear up more, because then if all the zombies are the same and we end up getting more gear, then they're just a roadblock. They're just like, oh, shoot the zombie. All right, next.
Right, but that's kind of what you're going for, because there is no level in this game, right? So, your leveling up is just getting the better gear. And so you kind of want that, you want to hit a point where they don't bother you as much, and then you become paranoid about the players. Was what I think I was trying to get to earlier, and I didn't really mention it, is You know, in Walking Dead, the TV show, it's more about the other people that are alive now, less about the zombies. Like now they just walk up and hit them in the head with a hammer and just keep walking. But it's the other people that really scare the death out of them. Or scare them to death. Yeah,
As a quick side thing, and Stakis, you may know this actually. I had to skip around a few points to the H1Z1. I wasn't able to catch it live, so I may have missed this. Did they mention the backstory? Like, do we have any idea what kind of, pool the players are going to have to work with suggestions on? Because you brought up a really good point. If there's going to be a progression in the game, even if it's just gear, like there needs to be some sort of challenge progression to match the player progression, or they're just going to at one point blow by it and it's never going to be that interesting. Like, what do we have to work with this game in terms of backstory, different types of zombies? Did they go into that in the podcast? I may have missed it.
No, not. I mean, we know it's 15 years after the event itself, and it's basically ravaged USA, and you are as a survivor 15 years after the main event. So that's pretty much all they've given us. They've not given us any real storyline as to what happened to bring apart the apocalypse, other than the virus itself, which is what the game was named after. What else did they go on about?
They're definitely scientific zombies and not supernatural zombies. So that was a pretty big
it's definitely
distinction.
a virus. That's right.
Yeah.
It's definitely a virus that
you can guess by the name.
Right. Yeah.
You'd hope. Yeah.
So
it'll be kind of interesting if they take like a Last of Us approach, where there's like evolutions of the same type of thing. I don't know if you guys have played Last of Us. They took one fungal organism and just completely extrapolated that out to like 5 or 6 different types of things, and they're all kind of unique and have their own abilities and stuff like that. So I kind of hope we see something like that, or at least different kind of stages. I don't know, but anyway.
Yeah, I really think
that would. Yeah, sorry, Ben.
Oh. I think it's important that there is zombie variety, especially for the hardcore gamer. I think that there should be, zombies that are at different lines of sight. So some zombies that are crawling on the floor, some that are hopping, things like that, because that creates a more difficult situation for someone with a weapon to aim at these different eye levels. So I think that part is important, but just variety in general. I don't think that players want to see the same exact type of zombie and they deal with them every single time. It should almost be a unique experience each time a player comes into a group of zombies.
That's a great point. If they had some sort of almost procedural generation system for the zombie, where almost every single one was completely different, like they had a pool of, say, 500 different heads and legs and arms. I know that's probably, Jimmy's probably sitting there right now going, okay, no, we're not going to do this.
You're thinking of like Diablo 3 Elite Packs, where they're all random with different abilities. And
maybe not even just a different ability, just different skins. You don't want to see the same, in DayZ there's like 5 zombies, and it's just, that's it. And you don't want to see that. I think that sort of level of depth would just by itself add a huge level to the game.
Yeah.
Akos is just, is there zombies in DayZ? I never noticed. Yeah, right. I mean, the standalone, they still haven't fixed that to this point. It's like you run around and you see maybe 1 or 2 zombies. Like, oh, what's that? Oh, it's a zombie. Yeah.
Yes.
Well,
and I guess the other.
Okay.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
No. I was just going to say the other point about the zombies being a threat was the story bricks. The AI, the emergent AI program that they're going to be using to basically govern the zombies themselves. I think if it works as well as they say it will, and it's as in-depth as what we've been led to believe, because we've not seen much of it, but that in itself, even if physically you look at a zombie and they're all different, that doesn't mean that with the Storybricks AI that they can't make them all act differently straight up in that regard. And hopefully that means that the zombies might maybe learn eventually. I'm not saying on a terrible amount, but say if you're hiding behind a bin and you see somewhere that you need to be, hopefully you can pick up a tin can and throw it, and it'll be attracted to the noise and it'll stumble over there, and you can quickly go where you need to go. Maybe after a few, thousands of players simultaneously doing this, maybe as a group, they might slowly learn that next time you might throw the tin can and it'll look. But it'll be like, Yeah, maybe not. And
Maybe
then
we should
you know,
explain Storybricks a little bit to everybody. We're really involved with EverQuest Next Landmark, or just Landmark right now. In the Storybricks situation, how it is basically they build wants and needs into the AI, and it can be easily set up by little bricks that they build a story with. So they go, okay, this guy really, really wants to eat brains, which is kind of your base zombie thing. And then, he's missing a foot, so he has a limp. And because of that, he always kind of walks to the right. Basically, they can set up this really complicated artificial intelligence that can be built on an individual basis. So each individual type of zombie can have this sort of complex thing, like he only comes out at night, or he only searches for food if it's less than 10 feet away, or things like that, that are this complex thing that Storybricks is going to be doing for Landmark, and is now also part of H1Z1, which is why we're so excited about this emergent AI. You were going to say something earlier, Ko.
Sorry, Co. Yeah.
Oh, no problem. I think we kind of covered most of it.
Oh, okay. Sorry. All right. So we're gathering up the questions right now, everybody. Make sure you're putting questions in brackets. And I think we're about ready to pull Mr. Jimmy Whisenhunt in here. What's up?
I was just going to say, we've got a lot of questions, so I don't know that we need too many more. Like, I've got two chats full of questions, so
yeah,
we're pretty good on questions. But I mean, if I see something very specific and very particular that we know that we want covered, I will drag it across. So,
all right, is Jimmy ready? He's giving me the thumbs up.
Jimmy.
All right, let's bring Mr. Jimmy Whisenhunt in here, everybody. Hold on, turn off his little image of his picture there.
And can you hear me? We good?
I can hear you now.
Awesome.
Welcome to the show, Jimmy. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, man, it's awesome. Excited. This is the best part about development, man. That's why I like working for SOE. We get to do this fun stuff.
Well, some people in the audience might not know. Who are you? Who are you, Jimmy? In
relation to the game, I am a game designer at Sony Online Entertainment. I am currently working on H1Z1. Prior to this, I worked on PlanetSide 2 and did a lot of the combat field stuff, so weapons and that sort of thing. And yeah, that's who I am.
That's who you are. So you got to listen to our whole basic intro topics and stuff like that. What do you think? Do you have any comments to rebuttal or say back to what we were
I was
about?
back and forth, I'll be honest. I'm still, once again, we're really busy. I'm reading emails back and forth with work right now. Just a lot of the stuff that we talked about, or that I was hearing, at least as I was watching Twitch and trying to listen to Skype chat, was one of the biggest things was, right now this genre has a lot of games, right? I mean, you have your Daisies, your Rust, your Warzies, now in Infestation, and all these other games. They all have, Nether as well, which actually there's a really good article on that we've really been trying to break apart and understand, what makes players act certain ways in games. We're really trying to get to the core of what is good about each one of these and how can we capitalize on these in ours. That's one of the biggest questions. Actually, Smed had a really popular Reddit thread on our H1Z1, which is our subreddit right now. A lot of us as developers have been responding. On what makes us different. I mean, there's no avoiding it. There are other games in this genre. There are similarities between all of us. Our biggest difference is going to end up being that we've come in, as of now, with a pretty quick development cycle, and we've had a lot of feedback to go off of from these other games that are similar, and we can pull things in like this, the building and everything else. Sandbox is one of the most important elements in this game. That's what really makes this whole genre beautiful. That's one thing that I think we all can say that we enjoy about these games is that there are enough variables and things that can happen within the game that just crazy things happen. I was telling you the story before, you just run the craziest people because of what the game allows you to do. And we want to just enable people to form their own stories and have some fun.
Exactly. Well, we're really excited you came on tonight, and I guess we can get started with the Q&A questions. And if we have any that we can't, you're probably the best guy to answer.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to it.
Right. All right. So first one is from Yoko Rose, which is, if you get infected and turn into a zombie, will there be a zombie version of you walking around with all of your gear like in Zombie U?
That is something that we have talked about so many times now, and I was actually trying to see if we've confirmed that publicly yet. But I'm just going to say, this is definitely something that we're looking at in our budget and everything else that we really want to do. That is so sick, right? You see that zombie with something on him, and you see it. You want that, so you have to go engage that guy, and it's scary, man. These zombies they're not decoration. They're not there to remind you it's the apocalypse, so you're in for a fight. But we'll see. Once again, that's something that we're actively discussing.
That'd be really cool for like high value zombie targets if they actually are lootable with that original player's gear to be able to, you see this decked out zombie that, may have been your friend, may have been your foe, and you kill him and you're able to get all that sweet stuff that the zombie's carrying around. It would be really cool.
Yeah, a lot longer living
hotspots on the map.
Yeah, a lot longer living loot goblins. Like that's what I always end up calling when playing with friends is like that guy has everything. It's a loot goblin. Go find him. Like let's go take his things. Now there are others wandering around.
Which would make people want to kill you a lot more.
Yes.
All right, next question from Cyberwolf. Oh, Cyberwolf.
I know, I told you.
Yeah, he's got about 100 of them in here. Okay, we'll ask a couple. What can SOE do to make H1Z1 look and feel different enough from all the other zombie survival games, not to just get written off as another DayZ wannabe?
I kind of accidentally covered that, I think, in my discussion of kind of what I heard so far.
Yeah.
Once again, there's a really good post from Smed on our H1Z1, but just to kind of recap all that is, we, once again, have a backlog of feedback, not just from our own company who's been playtesting, but a couple of years now of this genre where we can look back and from the get-go correct some of the things, not necessarily correct, but like take away what we want from each one of these and throw in our own fun ideas. There's going to be a lot more available to you in this single game than you'll find in the others. Like that's our goal anyway. We want to, once again, present you with as many possibilities as possible. Sandbox as sandbox gets. And yeah,
fantastic. Matter of fact, okay. Well, let's go to the next one here. Will there be zombies? There will be zombies, but what about NPC survivors and wildlife to fight bears, lions, and tigers? Oh my!
Yes, there are right now wolves and like other wildlife and there's a really cool circle of life. We talked a little bit about this before. I don't remember where we talked about it. We've been talking a lot on Reddit and streams and things.
Right.
But yeah, actually some pretty funny situations have arose like that we're trying to be like, that's cool. Like I didn't know that would happen. The other day we were trying to test, make sure the NPC counts are good and everything. We're running around and we're like, where are all these? There's some in the vicinity and there's a wolf. And it had, like, I guess it freaked out because a zombie got too close, and it decided to attack. And the zombie, of course, going to try to defend itself. Blah. Starts attacking that thing. Other zombies came in. They saw a deer. Wolf to turn around is like, F, this is too hard. Try to chase the deer. And they were all this huge train, like, chasing this thing around.
That is awesome. Like, is that because of the emergent AI?
Yeah, I mean, we have, once again, once in needs, there are priorities of things that they want to do. There's things they want to get done. They need to be fed. They need to defend themselves. Territory, they're in an area, they want it to be theirs. There's a lot of that going on. Yeah.
Is that also on the monsters too? I mean, the animals. They have emergent AI as well. So the wolf is going to try to like go and chew off your leg after you get killed, because you're laying there, your corpse is there, and he might want to go up and eat the leg, and the zombie's going to come and try to eat the wolf.
It's got to eat, man. That's the whole thing.
This is
all going to survive.
No, this is great. All right, next question. Another one from Mr. Cyberwolf. Since the game will take place eventually across the entire U.S., should vehicles like planes and helicopters be added as an option eventually? It is the PlanetSide 2 engine, after all.
Yeah, I mean, the question of should, it will be answered. But, I mean, once again, we are on the PlanetSide 2 engine, just like the question states. It's very much something we can do. And, yeah, I mean, I'd like to see that kind of stuff. What do you guys think?
Yeah, by the way, you guys are more than welcome to hop in here with any comments or anything you have.
I don't want to hijack.
It's okay.
Well, talking about the game taking place across the entire U.S., can I focus on that part a little bit?
Yeah,
sure.
How are you? I know you've talked about it a little bit, but are you planning on putting in landmarks and cities and things that we already are familiar with? Real life places?
St. Louis, something like that.
I think that would be incredibly cool. That's about all I can say about that. It's where we are right now is we want to get the basics of everything down, and we've got kind of the Anywhere USA, a town that's familiar to me. I don't know where all you guys are from, but I'm originally from Tulsa, Oklahoma, and it is very much from small town like Sand Springs to larger city where there's 850,000 people living and back, and there's a town. You know what I mean? Like it's very much wilderness, kind of Anywhere USA right now.
Yep.
Yeah, and you kind of have to be careful with that, because if you put one mark that can be identified in the real world, a lot of times you can be tied to making that whole area maybe a lot of decisions that you didn't necessarily want to make, but you have to kind of make for realism. So it can be kind of yeah, that's a fine line sometimes.
Like the distance between, like traveling distance and that sort of thing, like you'd get really tied down with that, but it would still be pretty cool.
Yeah, I don't like driving to even like Vegas from San Diego in real life. But if there's zombies wandering around and watching like wolves chase deer and then vice versa, like that might be kind of cool.
Yeah, deer's chasing wolves. Now that would be awesome.
That would be really weird.
All right.
Actually, just on that topic, can I just ask? Basically, Smedley mentioned about the size of the map physically. They asked sort of like, is it going to be comparable to the PlanetSide 2 map or the largest of the PlanetSide 2 maps? And he basically didn't skirt around it. He basically just said it's going to be bigger. Can you say how much bigger? I have some stats that basically the largest of the PS2 maps, I can't remember the name of it, but it's roughly 8 kilometers square, like 8 by 8 square. And the largest of the DayZ maps, which is Chernobyl, which is 12 Ks by 12 Ks square. Are you planning on having a bigger map than that? Like, can you give any general size-wise, whether it's 2 times, 3 times bigger?
What I can say is it'll be growing. I mean, that's what it is. Like, as we want to move out, it will grow, and that's our goal there. Like, I can't comment on any specifics right now, but yeah.
Roughly to start off, when we first get into the game, roughly is it going to be the same size as the PlanetSide 2, or you just can't say that either?
I will defer to the all-knowing and omnipotent John Smedley, and yeah,
J Smed.
J Smed.
Yeah, J Smed.
That's his rap name, J Smed.
That's right.
Yeah,
no, that's cool. No, thanks. Yeah, no, just because he did say that they want it to be much, much larger than the PlanetSide 2 maps, which is, exciting because they're big maps. I just wondered how big can we expect it to be when we first get into it. But if you can't really say yet, then that's fine.
Chernobyl is massive. Like, if you want to run from corner to corner,
Chernobyl takes you at least 3 or 4 hours to run from one side of the map to the other.
And DayZ servers are capped at 50 to 100 people. Right. So if they're planning on having 1,000 people or more in a server, I mean, we've got to imagine that it's going to be much larger than even Chernarus.
Yeah, we're insane.
It is insane. But that,
I mean, like, crazy. I don't mean like we're that good. It's just we're just crazy.
No, it is crazy. It's crazy in a good way, though. But I'm thinking that there's going to be a lot of murdering going on in this game. Because
very well could be. Very well could be.
Because go ahead, Co.
A very big aspect of this, though, as the map gets bigger, things start to really come into play about, okay, so how are we going to get the players into the game? How are we going to allow players to get to each other? As the map gets bigger and bigger, these issues can become more and more of a problem. I mean, when you try to play DayZ with a buddy, it could be 2 hours until you see him under the right circumstances. And God forbid he gets sniped on the way, or you get sniped on the way, because then you may get, another hour added to the time you get to play with him. So, I mean, but at the same time, you get it to the point where someone can just right-click a friend and summon him to him, and all of a sudden that awesome, tense standoff you were having between another guy in a building just got totally screwed, and now you're kind of playing an arcade game instead of a survive game. So,
it's fast travel, Jimmy. Yep. Yes.
We've had this discussion a lot in the office, and like there's both sides of the debate. I personally came from playing DayZ mod when it took me like I think 48 hours to figure out how to play it. Mm-hmm. And that's how much I love that game, is that I stuck through all that, got in there, was so stoked to play it. And I think personally, the journey to get to someone is a very important part of the game, because once again, any time that you can just instantly solve a problem, you start removing yourself from the environment you're in.
Right.
And that's a big part of the game to me, is I have to truck that far. I'm going to have the supplies or find the supplies on the way to get there. Maybe I have to engage with a wolf. Let's not miss, I have 1 bullet. I need to find food because I want to get to go find Geekdomo. I need to meet him.
Yeah, exactly. That and Co brought up a really excellent point. That's part of the game right there. Sometimes you would spawn in, you'd know that, oh my god, I'm just up the beach, and that was awesome because you could run to meet each other. But then other times you'd spawn, you were like in the farthest corner away that you could possibly be, and you're like, damn it, this is going to take us forever to get to another one.
I always remember walking by the lighthouse on the beach in Chernarus, and you'd see like 15 dead bodies at the end because walking to the other side of the map was just too much, and they took the easy way out.
Suicide out, yeah.
Yep. I do hope that H1Z1 does give the suicide option at the terrible spawn points.
I will say that Clegg, who has recently joined us on the team, requested a few suicide options in game, and we kind of wondered about his.
He's just really depressed.
And make bodies stay for a while. I always like to see the pile of bodies in these common suicide locations.
And it also
We'll make 'em-
also lets you know about something that may have happened that you didn't necessarily witness, but
yeah.
you kind of piece together through the situation, almost like Fallout 3 houses when you go into them.
Right.
But here you go, Jimmy. You can take this one from me. The disengagement system. If you haven't been in combat for 30 minutes, then someone on your friends list can spawn on you. There you go. That way you'll answer everyone's questions about being able to play with friends and anything. Done. There you go.
We'll see. I mean, once again, like I one thing that I hope I can kind of take a sidebar for a second. Like,
Yeah, we're vapid. We go off on all kinds of tangents. It's fine.
So something we haven't really talked about publicly much. I think I briefly mentioned it during our last stream we did just from the official channel. Is the way our team works is it's very much a collaborative process. And like me personally, really, I love the idea that I need to go find Geekdomo or Co or any of these guys. I need to go find you guys. It tells a story that way. That's half the game. Is anytime you ask someone about their favorite survival game, they will bust out into a 5-minute story. And like a lot of times it's because they're just trying to get somewhere to someone.
You get murdered along the way.
Right. And then on the other hand, there are people who, maybe want to have some sort of shortcut. But we are leaning towards just get there. You got to find a way to get there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
I agree with you, Jimmy. Don't give people the easy mode button.
Okay, so this is something that is a huge item of contention for me. It's an easy mode option, and it's something that they're just now fixing in DayZ. And Stockus and I talked about this during the show, and you'll understand in a second, Stockus. But when we were doing our 30 days of DayZ, the thing that used to piss me right off was I would get into a situation where I was like, oh shit, I'm about ready to die, or I'm about ready to take some guy out, and I'd be lined up on him, and he'd disappear. Poof. And what he did was he went to another server.
oh yeah.
Okay, so what's the situation with H1Z1? Is it going to be where you can server hop to get out of a situation, or is there a timer, or what's the thought right now for that?
Creative solutions, I guess is the best way to put it. We are like we obviously have some experience in this, obviously being players of games like DayZ. We know it's a problem. Like first and foremost, I want to say that because we've run into it 1,000 times. There's nothing more frustrating. We want to find the best system possible. I can't comment on it right now because we want to try everything that we can possibly think of.
Yeah.
We want to get crazy with it and then maybe have to back off. Like maybe they're sleepers. Whoa, crazy concept, right? Like maybe it's like in Rust. Yeah. I mean, who knows? We're gonna see how that conversation leads.
That gets so abused though in Rust. I mean, how many of you guys here who played Rust? You go, okay, I'm gonna log out. I got my house, everything's all set. I got walls. I've got spikes around my walls. I'm safe. And then you log out and you come back the next day and half your walls are gone and you're totally been looted.
I love that. I'm the guy that probably broke into your house.
You probably did, you bastard.
That's part of those games.
There's a place between it though. Like for instance, what if in Rust, when any of your doors or walls are broken down, you got a text on your cell phone? Or what if you could set up sensors that would give you a status update or something like that?
That's
the big thing that we don't like in Rust is the fact that you're not there to counter it.
Right.
That's the problem. And when it's player versus environment, at that point, I mean, it's not even PvP. It's just you're just working through challenges that are in some cases just rock against wall until it falls down.
Until it falls down, right.
So,
C4.
I am actually agreeing with Ben, and I believe Jimmy too, where I love the idea of persistence, but at the same time, the player has to be able to react, or at least have the chance to react.
Wait, someone's banging on your door, you get a text message.
That's right.
Or it could send tells to your guild, or it could do something to present a challenge instead of just not being there.
Hey, this is off the top of my head because this just happens to me. I have like the worst ADHD, like actual ADHD ever. And I played a lot of Anarchy Online back in the day.
Oh,
and
love that game.
By the way, I had one of the top twinks on RK1. By the way, Neophyte still logged in.
Did you have an Adventurer's backpack?
Adventurer's backpack? No, I had drop. I forgot what it's called right now. RPB. And yeah,
It's been so many years.
Yeah, fun game. But so in that game, you had tower setups on land and stuff, and like you claim land with all this stuff. And if someone went to attack that, it would. If no one's online, sorry, like it's gone. It takes them a while to get through all that. But if there are people online, it alerts everyone. Actually, I don't remember if it alerted people automatically or if you could. Because there's a lot of bot, like IRC support that people had. I couldn't remember if bots typically alerted you or something. But that's actually really cool.
Messages. Like, they spam your message log if your place is under attack.
Yeah, I don't know. Like maybe that's the way to handle that. But what you were saying with like the text message stuff, like actually bringing in like just the social side of it in real life. I just totally imagine Smed in the middle of a meeting and like find out his house is breaking down and just kicking down the door and like running out of the office.
I gotta go, guys. Somebody's breaking my shit.
That's right. That's right.
My people need me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think that this is kind of, if this is what could be really unique about H1Z1 is if it doesn't have any type of warning system. And it's almost like political philosophy 101, where players are going to be forced to enter into agreements with other players, guilds or whatever it may be. Maybe, people need more people in their guild that are from Australia or that are going to be online at these opposite times. And I think that at that point you can kind of get into EVE gameplay and corporate gameplay where you've got, these large bands of people, and then you might still have the people that are off in the woods that are trying to create their own little communities. But I think that with a large player base, you really don't need that type of warning system. And you could see some interesting gameplay by not having it.
True.
Sure. Yeah,
Sure,
I think
True. You don't want to disregard the solo players, though. You still, just like we love all of our lurkers on Twitch that don't say a word, you still, the big community people are also, need to be, there's two sides. So if
I just thought about that. What if it alerted all your Twitch followers? So like,
oh my god, that'd be great. I got
I
like 50,000 of them be like, oh my god, somebody's breaking into Noah's house.
Right.
Oh, Jesus.
Like guys like Crip and Lyric would just like be impenetrable. Like everyone would be around the clock.
Exactly.
it goes to your Twitter, it sends out a tweet, quick, my house is under attack, everyone get to this location. You're off at dinner while you have, a swarm of people coming down on your plane.
And then you log back in the next day and there's just corpses everywhere. Like, what the hell happened here?
You just open your front door, your house is fine, they're just stepping over bodies, trying to get your paper.
Well, now my idea wasn't any fun at all.
Yes, you had 2 words. What were you going to say?
Yeah,
Sarah?
I had 2 words that were tameable guard dogs. That's three words. But it wasn't even as funny as that, so it didn't matter.
No, table for dogs. That's totally a thing. That would be cool.
That's not a bad idea. I mean, you can, especially because you have wolves already, right? You got
Yeah.
wolves in the game. So what if you could tame a wolf, be like a guard dog to sit around your house and like chew the legs off of some? Because some people in the chat were saying the text message thing, the Twitter thing, it's kind of game breaking, or it's kind of immersion breaking. But if you had some sort of guard system that at least could like defend you a little bit, maybe not so game breaking. So good words.
So what you do is you go and you kill a cow, you take a piece of steak and you feed it to the wolf, and then you pet it and it has little love hearts and it becomes your guard dog.
It gets a little collar on it, little red collar.
That's right, gets a little red collar and then it follows you everywhere.
As long as
Can we use this to
take
fight
those
and tame
bears.
other pets?
Ooh, what about like Michonne did in Walking Dead? You could set some zombies up without any arms and faces, and like they're on chains around your house, and they could attack players that are trying to get in.
This is how goofy I went. I was thinking Shaun of the Dead with his friend at the. Sorry, yeah.
All right, let's continue on with our questions. We got so many questions. We'll try to go through these a little bit quicker. We're gonna try to finish up in the next 25 minutes, everybody. All right, what type of player progression will there be in H1Z1?
Player progression is you, right? Like what you gather, what you build, what you choose, set out as a goal and accomplish. There's not XP in our game, and this is something that we just don't want to do there. Something that we talked about pretty early, obviously. I mean, because we've made MMORPGs for a long time, right? So yeah, no, I like to think that the progression is directly tied to the hardcore aspect of the game, that you need to work your butt off to get something done, and you're proud of that, and now you need to guard that, and yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, unlike I guess people might not be understanding how like DayZ works. There are no levels in this game. You start off and you got like a pair of jeans and a t-shirt. In your levels, the way you kind of level up is you find better gear, and that's your progression. That's how you get better. And of course, in this game, you're going to be able to build too. So being able to set up a place and set up as a fort, that's also a level of type progression where you can build that kind of stuff. All right. So Wolf Pyre asks, will there be player housing, and will we be able to decorate like we were able to do in Star Wars Galaxies, where everything could be used as a decoration?
And I assume what they're talking about is like the instant stuff, like where there's a door, you go in the door, and you're able to pop into your housing and everything. So it's not exposed to the world, I assume, or are you talking more of something that you placed in the world, actually built and can decorate that? I guess I don't.
I think they're talking about like say like you in your game you take and make an axe and you merge it with like a battering ram of some kind, and you're not going to use it anymore. But you built it yourself. You could like hang it on your wall of your place that you built. I guess is what I think they're asking.
That kind of stuff would be really cool. Like I can't answer that. Like I don't have the information to answer that, but that would be cool.
I mean, they're not instances. Is basically what you're saying. As far as
right, yeah, the things that you build are going to be like if you find a way to break down someone's wall, depending on what it's made out of and everything else, you're in there. Like
right. It's like Rust. For those of you who might not have played Rust, it's you're in the world, and when you break the wall down, you're actually there. You're not going somewhere else.
Gotcha.
All right. True Zero says, building a base could consist of building onto an already existing structure, or will we be able to build the base from scratch, essentially, like out in the middle of a field? So I guess he's asking, like, you come across a gas station that's got pretty good walls if you want to build onto it, or do you have to, or will we be able to build just out in the middle of nowhere?
You can build in the middle of nowhere, and we've talked a lot about just fortifying, right? I mean, if you're the first to get somewhere and you're like, this place is sick. It's like I can't remember which Dawn of the Dead, but I think it was the more recent one where they're in the shopping mall and they had to like close themselves up in the storage, and they're like, oh man, there's a gun store on the second floor, so like they had to go through the fence to get it and stuff. But like, I mean, if you would have cordoned yourself off somewhere, I don't see why we'd stop you from doing that. It's going to be really popular because it's cheap to board something up versus build, right? It's easier to do. If you feel like you can guard that, go for it.
I see. Because it's going to be pretty obvious that is someplace killer to break into.
Sure, yeah. I mean, there's a reason you want to do it in the first place, right?
All right. This is a question. How will PvP work? Will it be every man for himself, team-based, you can't hurt people you're grouped with, or flag-based, people have to turn in a PvP flag to be attackable?
Everyone's attackable at all times.
Yeah, I saw somebody in chat a little while ago who maybe doesn't know much about this game, showed up and they said, oh my god, this game is PvP all the time, I'm out.
And that's, like that'll happen. I mean, just for the same reason that Eve is massive and popular, I don't play Eve. Right. I love the stories, and I know a lot of my friends play, but I just never got into that.
Who's going to want to show up and pick flowers? I mean, it's not this game.
Some people. Yeah.
This isn't Farmville, everybody.
Can I ask a quick follow-up here? Real quick?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Rust is famous for what you just said. Kill everyone at any time. Friend or foe, nothing you can do about it. Rust is also famous for the fact that you can't identify somebody until you're basically in punching range.
Right.
Now, this means that anyone who is like me that likes to play this game with communities is at a severe disadvantage because people can snipe me while I'm going, is this someone I should shoot or not? So is there going to,
everybody.
like, is this something that's being thought about? Do you, like I remember in Rust, they went through this game design progression where they started with you could mouse over anyone at any distance and saw a name. Well, okay, at night now, you could just scroll around your cursor and you could see exactly where someone was because you just look for the names. And then they said, okay, well, we'll put them at melee range. Well, now, and it's still like this, I pretty much left Rust over this, me and my whole community, because basically, a small group of people could get on and coordinate and be at such a major advantage over us because we're sitting here going, should we shoot this person? Should we not shoot this person? Because death really means something. So what is your guys' take on this?
I think there are, once again, good solutions to this without having to break the immersion of hardcore things like mouse over someone at a distance and see their name. Trying to think of the best way to put this. So, in Rust, we have more customization options than there. Rust is around what armor you have, and that always confused the hell out of me because someone
and there's 3 sets, yeah.
Right. And I actually remember my first time playing Rust, just 2 guys ran up to me in the white, like, just rag-looking armor. I don't remember, they've changed it several times on what that means, but, like, he came running at me, and he's holding a pipe. I'm like, oh, a pipe, like, this guy didn't have it, and he shot and killed me at point blank. I'm like, oh, this is the game. Okay, now I understand. Like, I just won't do that anymore. Now I kill everyone. I think that whether it's an option where you can opt in, both people choose to know who each other are, which still kind of breaks the immersion in my head. But no, it's definitely, we're aware of the issue and it's something we want to solve. I do also think that a good enough local VoIP solves this very quickly. I mean, in real life at night, if you go running up to someone in a dark alley in the middle of who knows where, somewhere you don't want to be, and you're waiting for a friend, you say, Mike, is that you? And then just keep your distance, right? I mean, make sure that you're safe. Hide behind a rock and yell, hey, is that you? Yeah, okay, and then they come out. You'll recognize their voice. And I think with a good enough local voice, that'll help solve a lot of that. Rust initially didn't have that, so that was my problem, is I couldn't just yell, is that you?
Yeah, Rust does have in-game now, but it's brought its whole own slew of issues. Like the people that like to blast white noise through their mics, and the people that use voice mods to sound like other, like it's, and the trolling gets especially bad with. But it's good to know you guys are thinking about it. That's really good. And I really like what you said about that opt-in feature, because frankly, at the end of our Rust, we were begging somebody to make us some kind of mod for it that would let us just make a little group that we could all tell each other who we are, or at least mouse over green reticule. That's all we want, just something. So that's great. That's great.
Mm-hmm. Can I just ask a question about the VoIP? You said you guys wanted to have that. Someone mentioned in one of the streams or interviews about if you're VoIPing in the game near zombies, that they will actually react to your VoIP. Whereas like in DayZ, if you have VoIP, you can just yell out, hey, I'm over here. And there could be 50 zombies in between you and them, and it doesn't matter. The zombies don't even know you're there. But someone mentioned that if there were a bunch of zombies and you VoIPed within range of them, they'd react to that. Can you confirm, deny, mention?
I have learned very quickly that you never say the word easy, and you never say the word, like, when it comes to code, because this is obviously something that would take a lot of thought putting into the engine, because there's a lot of pieces. It's a can of worms, right? But we obviously do read decibel levels from a voice. I don't know. Like, I would really like to do that. Because there's nothing more intense than you talking to your friend actually mattering. You just found out that you just got surrounded by zombies that don't know you're there, and you have to, like, literally be like, go. Look out the window. Please. And then Ko goes, what? And then, like, I'll just turn around and run at you. It's like, oh.
Exactly.
That'd be awesome if decibels were range-based for the voice.
Yeah. Which I think they're doing in EverQuest. Or not Landmark necessarily, but EQN, is they're going to have SO emote. Which, are you guys thinking of doing that too?
I was actually yelling at not yelling. I never yell at my tech director. He punched me in the throat. But I was like, SO emote, and I just didn't get a response. I would love to do that.
All right, so SO emote maybe.
I don't know.
But even
I don't know anything.
The proximal vocal chat, which they're going to have in EverQuest next. So as you're walking through a town, the voice just does the Doppler shift and everything, because as you're walking through an area, basically they're behind you, then they're in front of you, and it's just sort of like wherever the character's standing is where the voice comes from. And I think that would be really critical in this game, because you could hear somebody going, hey man, I'm right here. And if you were in a headset or something, like, oh, they're behind me, or they're in front of me, you can sort of kind of get a spatial location where they're at. I don't know. I think that's doable.
Yeah, I mean, there's even the other side of the coin where I don't know, like, Ko here, and he's standing in front of me. I'm in a building. I don't have a gun. He does. There's zombies. He's sneaking. And I just go, hey, really loudly. Like, hopefully they hear that, turn around, but see him. And that's my way out.
That's a way to play. Why not? What were you going to say, Ko?
So just to be clear, it sounds like, is VoIP going to be basically the only method of communication? Like, we aren't going to have messages, tells, chat boxes, all that kind of not going to be used?
I can't comment on that.
Fair enough.
Personally, super hardcore, maybe that's an option. I don't know. I personally like that.
I think that's awesome. I think that's great. And even to take it a step further, maybe some way to reward people that clearly use that system over exterior comms, like Ventrilo or TeamSpeak. Maybe make it so, there's some kind of progression or even achievements or something if you go that route, for using it back and forth over a period. Just something to encourage it, so people just don't go, oh, none of that? Okay, jump in TeamSpeak,
Sure.
Like a lot of those just serious gamers might do.
Yeah, it's an impossible thing to solve. Like, other people using other things, it's not really even solving. Some people prefer to play that way. Personally, I'm a very competitive person. I've been playing FPSs competitively for years now, and I would just like to have fun with the game and lose myself in it versus, like, get so serious. So it doesn't bother me if someone else has that advantage, really. I would just be about being involved. So I would be using local.
Right.
Personal choice, I think.
All right. Let's see. Question here. Are you aiming directly to take down DayZ? That's a question. Pretty direct question, but
it's an incredibly direct question. No, I mean, Smed said it the best, and it actually almost gave me like goosebumps because I am a fan of this. Before we ever heard of this idea, Daisy, the Rust, and everything else, we will be standing on the shoulders of giants, and everyone has their game of choice, and we just want to provide a fun experience for the people who want to play a game like ours. So no, I mean, there's no like, hostile takeover or anything like that. It's we are incredibly grateful, and just shout out to all those guys because they provided us with great games, not just an idea.
Oh yeah.
Well, that's like always asking MMO teams about if they're the next WoW killer. Like there's room on the landscape for more than one type of game.
There are players that love EverQuest that will never play WoW. There's players that love WoW who will never play EverQuest. It's just one of those things that, we can as gamers, we can enjoy many different games.
It's true.
Surprise.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. Captain Kokomo. Will there be free-form building like Rust, or will the building be more predetermined like State of Decay?
Yeah, that's something we talked a little bit about it on a previous question. But yeah, it's like snapping and everything else, like be able to build what you want.
Okay, so like State of Decay, basically you pick where you want the. I just did it today. You pick you want the workshop. It just goes where the workshop goes. There's like no layout, but you're going to have snapping. And I saw you do it in the live video too. It looked a lot like EQN in a way, the way you could move things around on the map or as you're setting them down. Yeah,
we once again we kind of that's a lot of our developer stuff, like us whiteboxing everything out. Let's make sure this is fun, and like we got all the player stuff coming online. But what we showed was just us placing down a shed and snapping a door to it. But it's going to be more robust than that.
Okay, let's see. Go ahead, Ko. Yeah.
Just real quick to extend on that a little bit. I mean, DayZ is famous for the survival kind of crawl the map and find stuff. Rust is kind of famous for the build a base and let them come to you or have a base. One of the things that we always wanted in Rust, though, is to see it kind of go a step further of like wood and metal. Like, are there plans to kind of take the building system to where you can really build like large complex structures? Or is it more kind of a survival, use the materials you can to just get something together kind of thing? Like, is it going to be the post-apocalyptic, we can barely get it together thing? Or the more kind of, let's build a foundation, let's build a second floor, third floor, let's, like really get a structure in the ground kind of thing?
Something like, so example in Rust, I think I've made probably several people angry, at least just by the evidence of my fake houses being blown up all the time, or me building a 10-story structure and then putting the loot on the second floor because everyone thinks it's at the top and things like that. Like, yeah, I mean, I don't see why we would stop people from doing that. I mean, why not both? You hastily need to build something. The night's rapidly approaching. You're not in the best area, but you need to get something down really quickly, and I think that should be possible as well as building large structures.
Awesome.
Okay. We're going to be wrapping up here in a few minutes, everybody. Just going to go through, try to grab another couple of cool questions here. Founders Pack. So is there going to be a Founders Pack or any kind of like special edition for people that really want to invest in this game a little bit more?
That I can't talk about right now. Sorry.
Right, no, that's just
I hate saying that, like, especially like it's so transparent. Like, I honestly just can't.
It's very
much better to say something and take it back later.
Yes,
much worse to do that. It's much better to be safe.
Yeah, I mean, the big thing with me is like I'm very much like just a game designer on the project. Like, hey, let's stream. I want to make a fun game, and then everyone else is just like makes all those decisions. So
yeah, no biggie. That's cool. Do you think zombies? Okay. Do you think zombies or the other players will be the biggest threat ultimately?
I think variable. It depends on the player, and it depends on the zombie. And there's a lot of things there, right? Like zombies are a threat much more so than what you're going to be used to. It's, I'm trying to think of the best way to describe this. On the video, on the stream, the town that we ran through, at less population what we had, I was having issues, which once again, this is all tunable things, but getting into a store with 2 zombies around because I didn't have a gun or a machete or a crowbar. Like, I was just screwed during one of the flight tests. Mm-hmm. So zombies are a massive threat, but players are smart, man. Like, obviously, we're human beings. We can make decisions based on our surroundings much quicker and be a little more clever than AI will ever be able to. So I think both. I mean...
Can I throw something there real quick?
Yeah.
So Jimmy, before we talked here, Stakas actually brought up the really good point. We were kind of talking about the player progression, or excuse me, the zombie progression. You just there said that there will be times when zombies are stronger and times when the zombies will be the threat and players will be the threat. And you may not be able to talk about this, and feel free to not just ignore it completely. Is there any plans right now to have a power progression of zombies? I know that the player is going to be getting consistently stronger, getting better equipment, getting better guns, that kind of thing. Are zombies going to be a static threat, or are they going to have some kind of evolutionary, interior treadmill that's going to have this zombie I could take, but that zombie I'm not quite well enough equipped to deal with?
That's something we talked about as well, because it depends. There's so many archetypes of what a zombie is. People interpret this very different ways. You guys like talked about it earlier. We're not supernatural. We're very much straightforward there. Science. Sorry, I just wanted Jesse Pinkman science bit. Every time I hear that now. But let's say that maybe it was dependent upon who you were in a past life. Once again, I kind of mentioned this before, is if Terry Crews became a zombie, I am scared to death of that guy. If Neil Patrick Harris turned into a zombie, I don't know. Right? Like, I mean, there could be a difference there.
Hugs and musicals.
Right. Yeah. He dresses impeccably well. That's awesome.
He's got nice shoes.
The best dressed zombie.
That's right. But I mean, that's that sort of thing. Yeah, I mean, we don't want it to be like everybody's the same. I mean, there should be visual tells is my biggest thing when we had that conversation. As someone who plays a lot of these games, and this is permadeath, there's a huge, huge penalty for dying, and I need to know what kills me. Anytime I die, I need to be able to reverse engineer the situation that got me killed and say, this is how I died. Because you never want that. You want the unknown to be there, but you want to learn from that for next time. So you see this zombie, he's got his shoulder down, and he's limping a little bit quicker or something. He kind of has a certain way that he looks, and you realize like that guy just flips upside down and crawls on all fours at 40 miles an hour. Like, whoa, holy crap. Next time I know that. And who knows? We want this to be a little scarier, not just because of the situations, but I mean, this area, man, like, who knows what this virus has done to people.
That's awesome.
And you actually just oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, go.
I was just going to say, you actually touched on something very interesting about knowing how you died.
Mm-hmm.
Is this going to be kind of like a Borderlands style thing where every time I hit an enemy, I might as well have a number floating up with my hit damage, and I'm going to know like how many hit points I have, but the last hit was this much damage, and that's combat logs. Like, are we going to see anything like that in the game, or is it all going to be kind of behind the scenes?
A lot of it behind the scenes. I mean, a lot of it's going to be if you heard the crack of a gunshot right after you died because of the distance they killed you from. I got shot. I was in the open. I could have probably solved that. Obviously, in a sandbox open world game, you can't control all the variables like you can in a game like Counter-Strike or in StarCraft, where you have very defined rules of engagement based on layouts. There's a huge sweeping array of areas you could be in. It's very similar to real life in that way.
That's one thing I think that DayZ did right, though, is I think the minimalism of DayZ is beautiful. I mean, you don't know what's going on. You're like, you don't have a compass. You don't have a compass
because of
exactly. You got like a UI bar which tells you what weapons you've got, and you can open up your inventory, and that's all you got. There's no other thing. Well, I guess there's the map if you find one, but that's what I mean. It's just so minimalism that that actually is a beautiful thing in some regards.
And will you know who killed you?
Right. There's times in DayZ I have no freaking clue. All of a sudden I'm
for
dead.
$47. I'm just kidding. No, I was just kidding. Oh. But that would be fun. I mean, maybe even, I don't know. That would be cool. Yeah. Sorry. I want to address something real quick. There were a lot of people asking because of the gameplay footage we had. I didn't even think to mention this because apparently I'm an idiot. When people were doing things or like killing each other in game, it was displaying at the top, like at the middle of the screen. It was like broadcasting so-and-so killed so-and-so. That's not going to be in the game. That is simply us debugging and like seeing what's going through the server and everything. So that's not going to be there.
What about mail?
Mail?
I mean, there's no a way to send messages to other players. There's like no way to do it, right?
They do say like USPS, like rain, sleet, or snow. I don't know about
zombie apocalypse. Like they're all zombie mailmen. All right, let's see. One last question here. Okay, this is a pretty good one. How extensive can we expect the building aspects of the game to be? Different materials, windows, stairs. Can we shape our bases truly to our own taste, or are they sort of like cookie cutter buildings that you just pop down?
Cookie cutter, no. I mean, like there'll be like the very simple, like quick structures and that sort of thing, sure. But we want you to be able to build your own things. Mm-hmm. But I mean, we're not talking like EQN level voxel stuff. But
yeah, that's too intense. But even so, EQN, while it's great that you can build that kind of stuff, it still has the limitation of voxels, and it still does. It always looks like I'm sort of playing on a big pile of silly putty. You know, there's like you can get down to some fine stuff with the micro voxels, but even that doesn't quite look right. Whereas I think having predefined rendered items that you could put together would be a little bit better.
Yeah.
All right. Great. Does anybody else have anything they want to chat about before we wrap up here? Any other questions for Jimmy? This is like a one-time deal here. Or maybe Jimmy can come back again.
I could come back, and also like for people who don't know, we are incredibly open, like on social media and Reddit, and we try. The Reddit has like it is like blown up.
Not only blown up, but it's a pretty good community there. I haven't got too much hate, which usually some of the other Reddits I go to, it's pretty hateful.
Sure, yeah. Well, it's just the internet. You never know. I mean, so far we've been very blessed to have some awesome fans and just really generally cool people, right? So it's pretty tame over there. Feel free to ask your questions, jump in some debates. You can find a dev tracker on there where we'll show our tweets and things. You can tweet at us. We even managed to get a couple people on the team who just never used Twitter to get on Twitter, and that's been hilarious because I've just been getting them tweet bombed the whole time. They're like, "What is happening?" So
that's great. You should share their links with me. I'll put them in my Twitter spam.
Awesome. I have a couple of questions, but I feel like I've been like one of the only ones talking. If you guys have anything else,
that's what I feel like. No, you go by all means. Please ask questions because that's why we're here. So
okay. Organizations, guilds, collectives. Are there any plans for any type of grouping system or anything to do with other players, or is it just going to be the DayZ style of you're a singular player and make your way in the world?
We very much can do the grouping stuff, platoon stuff, because once again we are built on the PlanetSide 2 backend. It's just a lot of the stuff is flag on, flag off. The system still exists, the classes are in code and everything, so we can support that. We'll see what's needed because PlanetSide could support anything from a squad to platoon and so forth, like all the way up to outfits and all kinds of crazy things. But let's see what's necessary, like what will help drive players to the experience they want.
Awesome. Perfect.
Social is important to us, though. It really is. We'll just have to see what works.
Yeah, that's one thing EverQuest is doing where you could take a screenshot of your build and put it up on... But I don't know if that's such a great idea.
That doesn't sound like a good idea.
Because then you start taking screenshots. Look at my beautiful place. And look, I got this pile of weapons over here, and I got some explosives over there.
Or the other way around. Co wants to troll someone else, so he goes to their place and takes a tweet pic of their place and goes, "Hey, check out my build, guys!
I bet you
got
guys
a ton
can't
of
break
weapons.
in. Yeah,
here's a picture of the map. I'm right there.
You cannot break into my place, you guys.
That's right.
Double
bet you can't get past the guard dogs.
Come and get me.
That's right. That's why you just set up in the middle of a field with some hills around it. You advertise it and then wait for the easy pickings. They go to blow up your door. You shoot them in the face. Go take the things. Just keep rolling.
This is a question from somebody in the chat, I guess, who might be a streamer, asking about will we be able to get streamers be able to get like an early access or something like that to where we could start hyping this game for you guys?
We're going to be letting a lot of people in, obviously, with the early access coming up. But yeah, I mean, I don't see why not. But realistically, the early access we've announced $20. So. Oh no, I'm ready to get it myself. But I think they're asking, will be an NDA on it or anything like that we could stream it? That I don't know specifically. There's been conversation about that. Smed's addressed that a little bit on the Reddit. I'm not learned enough on that topic to be able to say yay or nay. He only had, there was only an ND on an EQ or landmark for about 18 hours, and then it came down. It lasts as long as it takes for Smed to say, I want to share this. Yeah. Let's go. So I'm hoping to be that open this time. We are very open in development. I mean, once again, we streamed our game, and yeah, I mean, like, we are incredibly open with, here's where we are, here's where we want to go, and I don't see why we would want to hide anything from you guys because you guys are helping us build this game. Mm-hmm. So, perfect. All right, so let's go around the room again real quick, and we'll stop off with you, Jimmy, after we're all done here. Ko, tell us where people can go to your channel, where can they find you, all your social stuff. Lay it on us.
Sure. I'm pretty much CoCarnage everywhere. You can find me at twitch.tv/CoCarnage without a space. YouTube, CoCarnage, Twitter, @CoCarnage. I think there's Facebook too, all sorts of fun stuff. But I stream every day, full-time streamer at 9 a.m. EST, and usually go anywhere from 8 to 14 hours. Big into Arcade right now, waiting for the landmark updates. WildStar, EQ Next, H1Z1. We do a lot on our channel.
Awesome. Stackus.
Me?
Yeah.
Okay. Sergeant Stackers. Sergeant Stackers everywhere on everywhere. Just I am Sergeant Stackers in your pantry watching you while you cook.
He does stalk people.
I do stalk everyone. Twitter @Sergeant Stackers, Twitch Sergeant Stackers. Basically, I'll be in multiple mods, concentrating on Landmark at the moment, but I'm starting to get into the H1Z1 hype train. Hype train. Yeah, I stream as regularly as I can due to the fact that I'm not a full-time pro streamer like Co. I have jobs and stuff, but yeah, so you can catch me on those. You can also find me on the Starcast podcast. You can also catch me on the Into the Portal as well with Geekdomo and the other guys. So yeah, drop us a follow at the Bearded Warriors and Amazon Princesses. We appreciate your support.
Oh yeah, if you guys, we have a team, and if you go there, you can follow the whole group if you want. Coz has a team too, which I think I'm going to be joining.
Oh yeah.
We have to talk about that because I don't know how I can be on 2 teams at once, but we'll figure that out.
Oh yeah. No, well, yeah, we'll talk about it later. But you can, yeah, absolutely.
All right, cool. Skyla, are you ready to join the Amazonian Princesses?
Yes.
Awesome.
I am Skylatron everywhere: Twitch, Facebook, Twitter, all the places. I mostly stream MMOs, especially on 10 Ton Hammer Network. You can find me there as well.
Awesome. And Mr. CRS Smokey, aka Ben.
Hey, you could follow me personally at Curse Smokey Twitter account, CRS Smokey. I run Gamepedia, which is gamepedia.com. And of course, we have an H1Z1 wiki at h1z1.gamepedia.com. Check it out and add some information you learned here tonight.
Yeah, this would be great. You got some more information for your H1Z1. I'm battling for batting for 2 teams? No. It's okay. It's all right, everybody. Don't panic. All right, and I'm Geekdomo, and yeah, we're doing this podcast now. Thanks everyone for coming. It's our first cast, so it's a little bit rough. We had a little bit issues and problems. We'll try to get this sorted out for next time. And I think next week we might have Elohim, hopefully, crossing fingers. And yeah, we'll be back. All right, Mr. Jimmy, where can people find you? How can people get into this game right now?
Get into it right now? I don't know. I can't help you there, but you can.
Yes.
You can go to h1z1.com. You guys are nuts, by the way, and I'm never going to stop being fascinated by how quickly you guys find hidden crap. You're a bunch of cheaters. I'm just kidding. But seriously, you guys are fast, and it's awesome to see how quickly you guys find these hidden things on like the websites right here. As a matter of fact, you can see it on my
People
TV
were saying you
here.
were playing while we were talking. They're like, oh, that's the game.
That's right. But I am at Jimmy Whiz on Twitter. It's at JIMMYWHIS. I use it for all sorts of things. And don't forget our subreddit R H1Z1. And on there, once again, is the dev tracker. Come say hi to all of us. You can find specifically who you want to ask a question to from our art director, technical director, the designers, artists. Most of us are on there. So
people in the audience are asking, where can we find it? They just got here. They missed the show. Fair enough. This will go up on my YouTube at the end, but it's also available to everybody else on the cast. So Co can put it on his YouTube channel. Skylar can put it on her YouTube channel. Everybody can put it on their own YouTube channel, and the more people that can see it, the better. So you should be able to find it on one of our channels at the end here. So, so yeah.
Wow.
Out of control bot.
Dude, me and Nightbot are about to go rounds, man.
Oh, you posting something? Oh, just say something. I'll make you a mod.
Hang on.
Yeah.
It's all good.
Oh, there you go.
Let's see. It's going to happen again. Oh, man. I can't for 30 seconds. I'm not worried about it. I just wrecked the end of your show. Yes.
No, it's okay.
Sorry.
We're completely vapid. This is fine. Yeah, Stackus, go to bed. All right, everybody. So thanks a lot for coming to our very first show. I appreciate Co, Jimmy, Sergeant Stackus, Skyla, and Ben for being here. CRS Smoke. I keep wanting to call you Ben. I'm sorry. But, I can't hear you.
It's fine. You can call me Ben.
Fair enough. All right, everybody. Thanks a lot, and we will see you next week with more H1Z1 stuff. Thanks, everybody. Good night. See ya.